Welcome, hockey fans, to the first ever episode of the Fans of the Orange and Blue podcast. I am your host, Dave, fan since 72, along with my brother Steve, fan since 80. And no, we're not the Kachuk brothers, and no, we're not the Kelsey brothers, but we are the Fernandez brothers, and we live on Long Island and have been lifelong Islander fans. So welcome to this brand new podcast that's part of the Hockey World Order Network, part of Hockey World Order, where the outsiders have become the insiders, and we're taking over. Great news. We are the first team-oriented podcast that is a supplement to the weekly panelist show, which airs every Wednesday night at 9:30 on YouTube. Hockey World Order has panelists representing teams from the New York Islanders, the Rangers, the Canadiens, the Blues, the Utah Mammoth, the Buffalo Sabres, and the Nashville Predators. And we are looking to keep that growing, to get representatives from every single team. And there's going to be a brand new podcast on Thursday. Check the internet for a Nashville Predators podcast. It's going to make its debut then. So we're going to start talking today. This is going to be a tape show. Through August, we're going to do some tape shows because of the off-season and the uncertainty of what's going on. And then we're going to go live on a pretty regular basis after September, after Labor Day, leading up to the season and then during the season. So let's talk about what we're going to be doing here. This is going to be about fans talking about the Islanders, talking about hockey, talking about topics. And we're going to start it off with a few topics today. The first topic we're going to talk about is thoughts on 25-26. Then we're going to talk about Anders Lee. We're going to talk about who we think might be the next Islanders captain. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Matthew Darshan, the job that we think he's been doing up to this point, going into the 26-27 season, and what our expectations then are of that 26-27 season. So right now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over and introduce my brother, fan since 80, Steve, who's going to give you a little bit of a talk about himself and what he thinks this is going to be about, and then give us his thoughts on 25-26. Take it away, Steve.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited. I was so pumped when my brother said that he was bringing me on to this show. I've been watching his morning walks and his season recaps all season last season, and it was so much fun, and I was starting to get a little jealous, actually. So I was so excited when he said that we're going to now do the show together, and the fans of the Orange and Blue, oh, how could it get any better than that? So let's get it started with that first topic, reflections of 25-26. You can't say anything more than Matthew Schaefer, of course. He was way above everybody's expectations, obviously, and what a pleasure it was to watch him. Just also, I am also a season ticket holder as well as my brother. The cool thing is, actually, we literally sit on the opposite ends of the rink. So, like he's behind one goal, I'm behind the other goal. So we are like covering the Islanders literally end to end, on game day. So watching Matthew Schaefer play is like, it's amazing. If you haven't had a chance, everybody, please get down to UBS Arena or your local arena and see the Islanders and see Matthew Schaefer play.
So, Steve, aside from Matthew Schaefer, which, he goes without saying, he's been like the talk of the NHL. He's the main reason why the Islanders are playing on Monday afternoons and for a couple of times this season upcoming, which we'll talk about when we talk about the 26-27 season. The thing that really was kind of irritating about the Islanders season, quite frankly, was, losing Alex Romanov as early in the season as we did really, really put a crimp on us. Losing Kyle Palmieri killed our ability to generate goals and generate pressure. I think over the course of the year, when you look back at it, if we had even a modicum of a power play, we probably would have been in the playoffs. You cannot be finishing 32nd and 30th in the power play, consistently in the bottom of the power play rankings, and you cannot be playing the style of hockey that Patrick Roy was playing throughout the year, where the defensive high chance is in front of Ilya Sorokin were just so far beyond everybody else in the league. Ilya Sorokin stood on his head. The man should have won the Vezina Trophy just because of that. The number of shutouts that he had, he was the MVP of the team. You can take anybody else out of this equation. Without Ilya Sorokin, the Islanders would have never even been close to sniffing the playoffs last year. So, what are your quick thoughts on that? I mean, what do did you see anything other than that? A couple of pylons in the back named Mayfield, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also, when I played hockey, I'm a defenseman, so I love defense. I try so hard to defend Scott Mayfield, but there are times that it's too hard to defend him. He just the mistakes that he makes are just
What
so
are your thoughts
bad.
on Tony D'Angelo's resigning? You think that was worth it?
Oh, I love that. I love his tenacity, and like, and again, and that loss that we had last year of Alexander Romanov. If we have a healthy Romanov, a healthy, well, everybody healthy, but and D'Angelo, um, you know,
So
our
do you think
defense.
do you think though that Isaiah George and or Keyshawn Aitchison have a chance of breaking the lineup, given the fact that you're going to have Romanov coming back and you've got these guys under contract?
Uh, I think they're going to be those, call ups from well, Hamilton. We have to say Hamilton, not Bridgeport anymore, right? So I think they're going to be like that back and forth with Hamilton and the Islanders. It's gonna. I can't wait to see Aitchison play. He
Yeah.
also is going to be a spark, but that's I think still a little bit in our future. George, we've seen him. He has shown a lot of good signs. Does he deserve a spot? It's going to be tough because obviously we're going to have we should have a healthy Romanov and I mean Pellick and Pullock, they're
I
they're
mean, our defensive core right now is Romanov, Pulak, Pellick, D'Angelo, Mayfield, Schaefer, and Matthew Kessel. Believe it or not, can't forget that we did sign Matthew Kessel to a 1 year contract for 850. Whether or not he makes the team, or whether or not he ends up in Hamilton, or whether he's the security blanket, much like when we had what was a guy from Jersey? I can't remember his name now. We used to bring him in at the last minute.
Not Stevens, Scott.
You
Oh
know,
my
yeah.
God,
I
yeah,
can't. We'll blank,
number
but
four.
number four. I know number four on your roster. Number four on your roster. Number one in your hearts. I can't remember the guy's name.
Oh my God.
But that's what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they have, if there's any break in or breakthroughs there. The team has a lot of contracts that they have to deal with, and we'll talk about that. And I also think that we may have a topic for conversation on a future show about the Hamilton versus Bridgeport connection, and how easy or hard it's going to be for the Islanders to actually make adjustments during the year, because they're going to have players that are going to have to come across the border from Canada, as opposed to just get on a ferry and come over from Bridgeport. So that's going to be an interesting thing. So let's just keep moving the game along a little bit. We come around. If we have time at the end, we'll come to other issues. But losing Anders Lee to Utah, can't say I didn't see it coming. Can't say I didn't see him not coming back. I'm kind of surprised he went to Utah. What do you think about that? I mean, we all know and we all love Anders Lee. As is, we all are apt to say, you can't spell Islanders without Anders. I
Yeah.
think that he will come back as a team ambassador at some point. He was a great person for this community. He stepped into a breach where the team had just lost their captain in a manner which was kind of one in which created vitriol and pajama parties all over the country. And so having him step into that role and take it over and hold it as long as he did and do as well as he did, and I really believe that in 2021, 2022, when he was injured and he could not play in that Tampa Bay series, if he was there and he was healthy, we probably would have been in the Stanley Cup final. But he was not, and we did not. So, water under the bridge. Anders Lee's a Utah Mammoth. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am also a huge Anders Lee fan. Especially, I've got to meet him a couple of times and talk to him, and he was such an amazing person. Things also that he did for the community, the cancer jam that he did, which I'm really hoping maybe one of the guys can pick that up, because that was an amazing event that the Islanders did every year. But through Anders, but let's hope maybe the team can pick it up with another guy. Um, I came 1 point away from actually being part of Cancer Jam last year too. But anyway, Anders, there were times that people would say that, oh, he wasn't doing the captain thing on the ice, where I don't agree. I believe he had that respect in that locker room, and the guys knew that he was the captain, and he knew they knew what was going on. When the cameras were on him in the locker room after the game, he did the right thing. If he would take either the play, he wasn't pointing fingers and everything. Anders Lee was a great captain.
I did a quick you TikTok on this when he first got moved over, and I said, the thing that's interesting about Anders Lee to me, we always made fun of John Tavares whenever he gave a post game interview because he always sounded like he was sleepwalking and he had a monotone voice and everything was like this. The guys to play really hard, and the irony is that when you think about it, Anders Lee gave the same kind of interviews in the locker room. But the difference was he had expression. Like he was delivering a calm, measured tone, but he could tell that he had passion behind what he was saying, as opposed to Tavares, who looked like he was going to fall asleep at the switch. I agree. You can just tell the passion that he brought to the locker room just from those hype videos from the 21-22 season when he was in the locker room reading out the lineups and smacking the walls and doing all those things. So, and he did so much for the community. He's going to be missed. When you listen to his interviews that he's been doing since he's been with the Mammoth, I don't think Utah realizes what a gem they've got for the next couple of years. We're gonna when Anders Lee comes back to the UBS Arena, which is going to be, drum roll please, on February 15th, when the Utah Mammoth come to visit.
Matinee games. It's
that's
a matinee game, everybody.
It's a matinee game. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. That's going to be a great show. So that being said, the Islanders don't have a captain. What are your thoughts on this? I have mine, and I think we kind of agree and disagree on a couple of these. But you go first. What do you think is the captain?
Yeah, I do want to go right on the line and on the books as, yes, I know he's 19 years old. I want Matthew Schaefer in there. He's going to be our captain, so let's make him our captain now. But I would concede to having a bridge captain between Anders Lee and, of course, the inevitable captain in Matthew Schaefer. And that person, I would put Matt Barzal in that spot. And now the reason
that's interesting. It's interesting you say that. Go ahead.
I just want to give a quick reason is, yes, we have, of course, Bo Horvat. We have Braden Shen, who were already captains, but they were captains of their team. I know they're on our team now, but Matthew Barzal is a New York Islander. He's been an Islander since day one. He last season has now also showed that he can be a little spunky. So I would give him. I'd give him the nod. As much as yes, there are candidates out there. There's even candidates in Casey Cizikas or as we said earlier, Kyle Palmieri. We have guys. We have some veterans on there that are leaders. That are
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So let me jump in for a sec because I think here's where we disagree. I totally agree with you that Matthew Schaefer is going to be our captain. I think it's a couple of years down the road, at least. Only because the kid's only 19 years old, and as much as he's going to be a leader, he's going to have a lot of other media scrutiny on him. He's going to have a lot of other pressure on him, and he's going to have the doldrums of the sophomore slump, hanging over his head this year. And I really don't think he needs to have a letter to go on top of that. So, yes, we need a bridge captain. I don't agree with you on Bo Horvat. I think Bo Horvat has made this his team. I think he has become the silent leader in the locker room. I think that's why he was wearing an A. I think at the end of the day, when you think about it, he's the perfect kind of bridge captain. Why do I say that? What did I just say about Tavares and Anders Lee and the way that they talk to the media when they give interviews? It's that calm tone, that very easygoing, that knows the answers, knows how to answer the questions, knows how to get through that without creating controversy. Ever listen to Bo Horvat give an interview? Sounds exactly the same. And I'm sure in the locker room he could be there. Now, I think with your take on Matt Barzal is interesting because I had a similar take, but my take is that I would put an A on his jersey, and the reason why I would put an A on his jersey and not a C on his jersey is because I think Matt Barzal needs structure. There have been way too many times in the season where you can tell when Matt Barzal's on, and you can tell when Matt Barzal's putting on autopilot and doesn't care. when he's making these stupid passes and he's skating and he's falling in the corner, or he's not following through, or he's not getting back on defense, that is Matt Barzal being Matt Barzal, because we know he can skate like the wind. We know he can make incredible passes. We know he has the ability to be a great playmaker. We know he doesn't shoot the puck at the net because we've all gotten hoarse yelling at him to do it. Okay, so we know these things. But if you're wearing a letter, it forces you to think team first. It forces you to be there for the team. And while I don't think he is going to be ready to take on the captaincy, although that's an interesting take, and I wouldn't argue with it if it happened, having an A on his shoulder, I think, puts him in a position where now he knows that he's got to put the team on his back every once in a while and carry the load. And not that he wasn't doing that before, but I think before he had the ability to skirt on the sidelines, and other guys were going to be getting the camera in front of their face every day, and other guys are going to have to do the post-game interviews, and other guys are going to have to deal with that stuff. If you got a captain, if you're an assistant or you're a captain, when you come off that ice, that microphone is going to be stuck right under your nose. And if you have to deal with that on a regular basis, then you have to adjust, right? And so that's why I think he's going to get an A. I think between the other guys, Palmieri and Pelech and those guys, I have been a proponent that you should have an A on offense and an A on defense, because I think that, and I don't like this rotating road in away captain, assistant captain crap. No, you got three people, you make them your A, you make them your C. Period. And that's why I think Pelech. Or no, was it Pulock? It was Pulock last year, right? It was Pulock.
It was the A last year, and Palmieri.
Yeah, so it was the same
Pulock and Palmieri that used to switch back.
Same
and forth
routine
when
for me
Palmieri-
would be where I would go, and that's the way I would go, and that's the reason why I think it's because it would give some broader brush to it. But you bring up an interesting point though. When you said we've got Bo Horvat, we've got Braden Shen, we've got Kyle Palmieri, we've got Andre Palat, we've got all these veteran guys that are on the team, and some of whom have had captain experience, who have all this experience. That calls into question now, what do you think Matthew Darsh's plan? He said what he was going to do. He said that he was going to be saddled with these contracts for the first couple of years of his GM working, and that he wasn't going to really be able to do any real things until the 27-28 season because of the contracts that were on the books that he couldn't get rid of. And so, he let Anders Lee walk before term. Remember, this wasn't about money; it was about term. He let Anders Lee walk for term. He signed a couple of guys to one-year contracts. He brought in Braden Shen, who I think is Anders Lee 2.0, a couple of years younger, because of what his statistical input. What do you think of how he's molding the franchise? Looking at this year, and we'll get into talking what we think what's going to happen this year. But how do you think his game plan is playing out? You think it's going to could it be very successful, or are we looking at 26? Are we looking at a 26-27 season that's going to just be one of those ones where we can continually kick ourselves in the rear end because the team just underachieves? But how do you think his plan is playing out?
Well, we know, and everybody knows that he built an amazing team down there in Tampa. So he knows what he's doing. So it's not like he's like just coming out of the closet and what is he doing. So he definitely has a method to his madness. He's a little more open with all of us too. He's not so quiet like Lamoriello was, and we never knew what was going on. So you can almost see that the pieces that he's putting together do make sense. To touch back on Braden Shen, when I really got to know him and find out more about him, the teaching that he's doing, remember, like we said before, Matt Schaefer is going to go into that sophomore year. He could just go spiral into that slump, or this is where Braden Shen is going to really show what kind of a veteran teacher he is, and that could be a big plus.
I think he did. He took Cal Ritchie. He took Cal Ritchie under his wing and really became a mentor to Cal Ritchie when he first came over here.
Right,
and I think that should continue.
Remember what Chara did for Dobson. So if the veterans that we have on the team are still very good veterans. Yes, they have some age, but we do have some youth. We're not the old Islanders that we were a couple of years ago. We do have youth. We have speed, and some of that old guys like again with Mike Kyle Palmieri, man. Where does he get his energy from? So, but I'm looking forward to like I know it's a topic that's coming up, but I'm looking forward to the 26-27 season. Like I when we
Well,
talk about it,
before we
I'll
do that,
give.
though, you mentioned a couple of guys. Last year we had the problem where we had a couple of guys who looked like they were just wearing cement shoes and they weren't playing well, right? Andre Palat came over and he started playing really well, and then he fell off the face of the earth. What happened to Anthony Duclair? Did he come back too soon the year before, and has it really screwed up his head? Now you got Anthony Duclair still under contract for the year. Then you've got the albatross in the room that everybody wonders what the heck Lou Lamoriello was thinking when he signed Pierre Engvall to the long contract that he did. But then you find out that, oh, by the way, he had knee surgery and hip surgery last year, so he was skating like on one half of one leg. So, is he going to come back
Yeah.
healthy? Can he possibly be the player, even 1/10 of the player that he was? And then remember, the Islanders picked up Matias Maccelli from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, Maccelli was a pretty decent player. He wasn't the top six player, but we're not looking. The Islanders have not had the sniper goal scoring player. You could have to go. I think you have to go all the way back to Zygmunt Palffy to find that. I don't think we've had one since then. So it's always been the muckers and the rakers to get the job done. And so you got these guys who are muckers and rakers, and if Cal Ritchie can respond to the mentorship of Braden Shen, and Matias Maccelli can step in and do what he can do and give us 20 plus goals. And if Pierre Engvall has a pulse and Anthony Duclair has a pulse, we have a pretty decent set of players right there, without even worrying about going into the depth of the guys who are sitting on the outside looking in. The Cole Eisermans of the world, the Victor Eklunds of the world, who we all want
Yeah.
to see play. Right?
Yeah, but
It's interesting.
it's just a cloud over all of us Islander fans to say that, oh, what is it Duclair? Which Duclair are we going to get? Which Engvall are we going to get? Which Mayfield are we going to get? Like it's such a cloud that now so many of us are. Sometimes we're tired of it. Like we're just like, what? Get rid of these guys, even though yeah, they have potential. So then what? Then let them have potential someplace else. But
Problem is you can't get
but
rid of
they
them.
are
They're under
no.
contract and they're not movable. I mean, Pierre Engvall's contract is an albatross. It's going to have to play itself out. Nobody's going to, unless he comes back and he gets some ice time and he starts playing very well at the early part of the season, and the Islanders can make himself have some value. It ain't going to happen. You can say the same
Yeah.
thing about Anthony Duclair. It ain't going to happen. So you're tying up right there. Between the two of those guys, that's $6.5 million in contract this year. So they're not going anywhere. And so unfortunately, but that's just the reality of it. And let's go real quickly. So that brings us to the point. What are our expectations for 26-27?
All right.
Do we make the
Perfect.
playoffs?
I hope so. So let me. I want to start off with my expectations for 26-27 is the same way I walk into UBS Arena for every single game. I want to go in and have a good time. So what I hope that the Islanders can realize that if they go out there and have a good time, again, we heard that coming out of like I keep saying Matthew Schaefer's name because that's how important he is to me, and I think he is to the team. He brings that type of like you can relax and you can play the game. We're playing a game, you know. So if the Islanders can play the game, I think they can compete and play with anybody. And would they make the playoffs? Yes. If they get all caught up in the who's doing what and when is he going to start, they're going to start gripping those sticks and
Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, look, it's an 84 game season schedule this year. It's the first time since the 93-94 season, which gives all Islander fans heartburn. Last time we had a 93-94 season. But it's the first time since that season that we're playing 84 games. They get to play their divisional opponents 4 times each, which is a third of their schedule, which is a good thing. And they do a home and an away with the West Coast, and then they play the non-divisional opponents the same number of times as previous seasons. They'll play each Atlantic Division team 3 times, each Western Conference team twice, once home and once away, making up the 56 games. So the 50, that remain for the schedule. The interesting part is they have 13 back-to-backs this year, and when you look at the back-to-back schedule, December they have one. They're loaded in December with back-to-backs, which sucks. 3rd and 4th, 10th and 11th, 15th and 16th, 26th and 27th. So they're going to be playing a lot of hockey in December. That could be good, could be bad. If you get off to a slow start and you get into that routine where you're going to be playing every other day for 2 weeks straight, that could be a make or break part of the season. In January they have a couple of back-to-backs that are broken up by a week. The 15th and the 16th, the 22nd and the 23rd. And then February, 3 sets of back-to-backs in February. The 12th and 13th, the 22nd and 23rd, the 26th and the 27th. That right there could be the snap, because if the trade deadline right now, they moved the trade deadline to March 1st. That's going to be going right into March 1st. What's going to happen with the team? Where are they going to be? Are they going to be a meddling in the muddy middle, as Butch Goring would say, or are they going to have an opportunity to make a push? They do have 2 in March, and then they have one right at the end of the season on April 1st and April 2nd against Pittsburgh and Ottawa. So their schedule is kind of mishmashed in terms of that, and it's kind of problematic. I think that when you look at it, it's going to create an issue where they need to get off to a good start, and they need to have healthy players going through the month of December, because the month of December is going to beat them up like nobody's business. And if they can get through that and have fun, I agree. My goal is when I go to an Islanders game, I want to have a good time. I just want them to play well. If they lose a 2-1 game that's played really well, I don't care. If they go in there and they get blown out 7-1 and they look and they're skating like they don't care, that's when I start to really get disappointed in them. So, it's going to be an interesting year. Do I think they make the playoffs this year? I'm going to say no, they don't. And because there's just way too many variables, and I'm always the pessimist, and I've been an Islander fan since '72, so I can be the pessimist. Anyway, so that's pretty much guys. This is what this show is going to be about. We're going to be talking like this. We're going to have these issues. We're going to come up with these topics, and we're going to do our thing, and then we're going to tape these shows, and put them up on Tuesdays through August. And then we're going to hopefully go live in September with some live action, give you opportunities. What I want you guys to do, this is your homework assignment. Comment on this video. Like this video. Tell us what you want to hear. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you guys are finding as necessary, or what you think we want to talk about. And we will be able then to go back to you and say, hey, this is what you guys want to talk about. We could talk about this. If you want to what you want to do, this is what we could talk about. And questions, answers, all that good stuff. We're going to be looking to bring in special guests. We have some contacts here and there. We have some friends in the business. We have some opportunities to bring some people in, maybe some surprises. We have some other hosts from the Hockey World Order who may come on and talk with us. And we're just going to go like crazy. So remember, Hockey World Order, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Don't forget to go on the Hockey World Order and vote for the Hall of Fame votes right now. They're going for the initial class of enforcers. And it's going to, like I said before, like, comment, follow, and subscribe. We are going to be just having a blast with this. Steve, thank you for joining us in this process. Looking forward to having a great season. And we're going to come up with a topic. Look for our ticklers during the week as to what we might be talking about going into the next episode, which we hopefully will have next Tuesday. And that's pretty much it. You got any really quick parting thoughts in the last minute here, Steve, to talk about?
No, I'm just so excited to be here talking hockey, especially Islanders hockey. I could talk Islanders hockey all day long.
Well, that's great, guys. And so, like we said, watch us, follow Steve at fansins_80 on TikTok. Follow me at fansins_72 on TikTok as well. And we're on YouTube. Watch us on Hockey World Order. It's going to be a lot of fun. We are really, really pumped for this, and we hope you are as well. And until next week, take it easy, guys.